I want to be held and I want to be reassured in this moment and just loved on
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And then you didn't want it.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't even want to hear it. When I said, I know what you want, you snapped back at me that you were like, well, I'm not available for that anymore. And so
Just, I'm sure the listeners out here have experienced this. You're like, I'm open and available for what you want, whatever you want. Oh, I don't need anything. Like, but now that you're pissed off, I know exactly what it is that I want. Now that I've gotten an emotion, I've elicited an emotion from you, which is ultimately really on some level what you want.
yeah, and not consciously.
No.
Like it wasn't conscious, but yes, it was, because if I couldn't get you to feel pain, then anger was a good substitute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because then I'm getting some sort of reaction out of you, as opposed to being so neutral that I'm just irritated by it. I'm like, no, if I'm emotional, I need you to be emotional too. Get emotional with me.
And this is that subtle form of testing that we talk about.
Yeah.
Testing my partner to see if I'm safe, right? If I'm already safe, then I don't get to find out whether I will be safe, right? So it's in the moment where he's actually frustrated and angry that I actually get to find out, my subconscious again, not my conscious awareness, that I get to find out whether or not he's actually going to show up in the way that I want him to, in the way that he says he's able to. And of course, in that one moment, in that moment, you're like, oh, he's on his rockers. Not your conscious mind, but my subconscious. He's on his edge. Let me see if I can now get him to give me what I want. And of course, the setup was, no, I'm not going to give you what you want. And the response was, well, fine. When you're ready to hear me, come find me.
Yeah, I don't know if those are my exact words, but something along those lines. Yeah. And I left the room, and the way that I left it in my mind was essentially that it was on you then, when you had then calmed down, to come find me. Whereas in my mind, I did make the request, but I did not explicitly make the request. I more or less just told you, come find me.
You told me what I needed to do.
Yes.
And I was saying,
it was a demand, not a request.
And my little boy showed up and said, no,
Fuck her.
I am not going to succumb to your demands. If you want something from me, you come to me. I'm going to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll get into the resolution of how we got there and what repair really looks like. But I think it's also important to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit on what was really showing up in that conflict, the pieces underneath it, because on the surface, we're arguing about
Twinkle lights,
but it has nothing to do really ultimately with twinkle lights. Would you share a little bit more, I think, about what it really was about for you and what it was kind of standing for, if you hadn't clarified all that so far?
I mean, what it ended up turning into over the course of the next day, what we really got to the true core of it was me not asking for my needs to be met. And this is a very old pattern for me, fitting myself into spaces and places and taking the crumbs, not because you give crumbs, but almost I'll only ask sometimes for the crumbs because I don't trust that if I ask for the full meal that I'll actually be given the opportunity to have it. And in a lot of ways, what I've really started to notice is that I'm so unused to asking for my needs to be met that it's really hard sometimes for me to even know what to ask for. So when you are very open and available to me asking for my needs, it doesn't mean that you're going to meet every single one of them. I need to come across with them as a genuine request, not as a demand. But if I'm not even able to bring into my awareness what it is that I need, it makes it really hard for you to meet me where you want to. Like, you want to meet me there. But if I can't vocalize it, and if I can't even bring awareness to it, because I have such a long pattern of fitting myself in where I don't end up feeling nourished, it's on me. Like that's my responsibility. But then resentment can start to build, and this is what you and I ended up picking up on, where I have over, again, very very long history and only a tiny bit with you, grown tired of not having my needs met and feeling like I'm meeting everyone else's needs. It's like that good girl programming, like I'll make sure everybody else is happy, but not even asking for the full meal. Just being like, oh, it's okay, I'll live off the crumbs. You don't want to give me crumbs? There's no part of me that believes that you only want to give me crumbs, and you don't. But you also can only give me what I am open to receive. And if I'm not even able to ask you for what I want or need, it's really hard for you to give it to me. You can't read my mind, especially if I can't even read my own mind.
In that, there's a piece of how do I be a stand for what I need in this relationship, in this dynamic, and where have I been shrinking myself down in order to get what I think will be met, as opposed to giving my partner the opportunity to actually meet what it is that I really want. And that's it's such an interesting thing that shows up in so many aspects of relationship and dynamic of, if I ask for what I really want, I'll be too much and I'll be discarded. And the vulnerable piece is to really be honest and ask for what it is that I really need. Because on one side, I won't be rejected if I don't ask for what I really want. But I also will never be accepted if I never give my partner the opportunity to actually step up and give me what I want. And so there's a an establishment of a story that just continues on. And for me, I've been in a lot of relationships and relational dynamics where I co-created a dynamic where I was the person in power. That, a lot of fatherhood wounds. Not only do I show up in the world as like, hey, this is what fatherhood really means, and fatherhood, but I end up being the father, triggering my partner's father wounds, and showing up as the father in the dynamic, whereas I have a patriarchal dynamic that is co-created. Partially it's on me in terms of, being the I've got the ideas, I've got I've got some clarity, I know what I'm talking about, and people tend to respond to that in a way, but also being put in that position by partners who go, okay, well, you've got it figured out. You tell me how it's going to go. And then buying it. Okay, well, I'll share, and then further creating that dynamic.
Yeah.
And that has burned me so poorly, because once I get into that dynamic where now I'm the father figure in this relationship, now I've created separation. We're no longer equals, and I don't want to be in that position. There's so many negative impacts that have on me and on this relationship, but also in my own wounding around being the know-it-all, or being the one who needs to be in charge or needs to be right. And I don't resonate with that. I don't need to be right. I'm curious. I want to know all the information. That I'm an Aquarian, as has been pointed out. I'm painfully Aquarian, which I totally don't understand how Aquarians can be painful to anybody. We're just here to make.
He's like, painful for whom?
We're just here to make the world a better place for everybody. How could that be painful? And I get the irony, and I say it. Trust me, I do. And so that brings up my own wounding of being too much. And so I desperately don't want to be in the position where I'm the authority figure. And whenever it's this reflection of okay, I'm not going to ask for much. I'm not going to ask for what I need, or I'm just going to accept crumbs, reflects back to me that I'm overbearing, that I'm too much, and that if you were to ask for anything more, that my response is going to be such that it would be, it's like I've been now painted out to be the big ogre in the corner.
Yeah.
And, if you ask me for too much, then the ogre is going to come out and beat you up. And I don't want to be that. And so just the reflection, not even you saying it, but your timidness to ask reflects back that maybe I'm just a bully, or I'm too much, or I'm going to respond in this way. And that triggers me because I'm like, no, I'm here to give you what you want. Just tell me what you want, or let me know what you need. I'm here for that. And so it's our paired wounding showing up in those moments that are actually, it's our wounds talking to each other rather than our higher awareness speaking to each other. And that's what's getting triggered. What's getting triggered for me is one, I'm now somehow the boss. I don't want to be the boss, and you're further painting me into being the boss. So
While also resenting you for
Well,
being the boss.
while simultaneously resenting me for being as a boss, and and now I'm stuck in the catch-22, and I'm angry and I'm frustrated and I don't want to have any part of this. Just tell me what the hell you want, woman. And even in that, right, even as I say that, what do I want?
Yeah.
Like that is a part of the co-creation of the dynamic. Like, tell me what you want. Like, that's a setup.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, even as I say that, I'm noticing like that's part of the setup. Like, what do I want in that moment, right? What am I looking for? And that's a learning for me on how to reframe the conversation, because I'm inherently creating a power dynamic, and a lot of men do this as well, which is, I don't need anything.
Yeah.
I don't need anything. I'm good. I'm whole on myself. You just let me know what you need, and I'll be there for it, right? Knows the power dynamic
Yeah.
that's created when I don't need anything and I'm only responding to your needs. We've all been there. You say one thing, your partner hears another, and suddenly we're off to World War III.
Those moments aren't about who's right. They're about what's unhealed.
That's why we created the Relational Compass. It helps you see your triggers, your strengths, and how to turn conflict into connection.
5 minutes, powerful insights, totally free.
Find your direction at lipcouples.com/compass and start loving in practice.